Here are 5 books that will drastically improve the performance of your video ads. And the last book has not only helped me become a better marketer, it has also helped me hit 7 figures in business. All right, we're gonna start off with one of the first books I started to read as I really got into marketing, and it's a book called Made to Stick. It's by Chip and Dan Heath. In this book, it breaks down 6 principles that your videos need to have to be able to stick rather than die. And it's by incorporating all 6 of these principles is really what helps you create a video or an ad or any type of message that's going to have a lasting impact with your audience. And I want to share with you my 3 favorite principles from this book. Credibility, having an emotional impact, and telling a story. There's 3 other ones that you should definitely check out because they're important as well, but definitely check out Made to Stick. All right, the other one was Confessions of an Advertising Man, David Ogilvy, right? So David Ogilvy is an advertising legend. I think he is like the person you think of when you think of advertising, especially in the classical sense of any ad agency. But as I was reading his book, he breaks down kind of what's helped him, one, grow an agency and make better ads, but he breaks down how he's written his headlines and how he goes about marketing. So again, some of the biggest takeaways that I got were, 1, deciding which accounts you choose to work on and which ones you don't. So he had this to say: I also resign accounts when I lose confidence in the product. It's flagrantly dishonest for an advertising agent to urge consumers to buy a product which he would not allow his own wife to buy. I thought that's good, right? That's like, if you don't want to be promoting a product or advertising a product that's scammy or that doesn't work or doesn't live up to its reputation. So really making sure that you take on the right clients and the right products that work, that are legit, and honestly that you would use or you would allow your wife to use or any of your friends to use. The other really interesting takeaway that I got from here was what goes into copy, right? So what goes into your story? What do you focus on with an ad? And he talked about there's various promises of a product. So let's take a product like face cream, for example. There's different promises of face cream that would really make an impact with the audience, like it cleans deep into pores, it prevents dryness, it's recommended by skin doctors, it makes your skin look younger. Like, there's all these claims. And when you survey your audience and you ask them, hey, why did you buy this product? They will tell you why they purchased that. And you can rank the reasons why they purchased on a scale from 1 to 10. And the people, like maybe most of them, it's because they want deep clean their pores. Well, if that's the biggest reason why your customers have purchased your product, you should have an ad around that promise, around that segment. And really, you should have an ad around all the different reasons why your people purchase your product. So that was really cool as far as like researching into your audience and what to decide what makes it into a video or what makes it into an ad or not. And it comes with talking to your customer, right? So Confessions of an Advertising Man, David Ogilvy. Check that out. All right, the third book is Meet Your Happy Chemicals. This was a really interesting book on the brain and how certain chemicals in your brain can trigger different emotions, which can trigger different thoughts and can trigger different behaviors. And really understanding what these chemicals are and how the brain works can really help us create a better video ad, right? So how can we influence people, hopefully for the better, right? But there's 4 happy chemicals in your brain. There's dopamine, there's endorphins, there's oxytocin, and there's serotonin. There's even a chemical that triggers disappointment and sadness, and that is a chemical called cortisol. And obviously you'd want to avoid that one in your marketing and in your advertising. One of my biggest takeaways from this book was how people make decisions. And they called it happy trails. Like, so when you make a decision, when you're presented with information or you need to make a decision, you make a decision and it triggers like a neural pathway in your brain. What does this have to do with video and marketing? Well, I think it's remembering how do people make a decision. And guess what? So check this out. Neural pathways are not created by logic. They're created by repetition and emotion. So if you think by presenting people with facts that's gonna help them make a decision and purchase, like, no, like that's maybe a small aspect. It's one, creating creating an emotion inside of them and repeating that emotion consistently, which is fascinating because there's that stat where like we make decisions emotionally and then we back them up logically with facts, right? And so in your ads, are you creating an emotion with the audience? Is it a positive emotion, right? Because if you're creating, are you creating dopamine or serotonin or endorphins or oxytocin, like these happy chemicals? It's gonna lead to somebody making a decision to purchase. Or if they're getting triggered with cortisol kind of frustration or disappointment, you're not gonna see very many sales either. So check out your happy chemicals and figure out how the brain works. This other book is really popular in the marketing circle and even in like the motivation circle, but it's a book called Influence, and it's the psychology of persuasion, and it's by Robert Cialdini. But he breaks down why do certain people say yes versus why do certain people say no. And it comes down to like several different principles that you need to use in your marketing and messaging that will lead somebody to say yes. So some of those principles are consistency, like being consistent, like consistently seeing your ads. Reciprocation. Are you giving first before you receive? Some people expect to have an ad and people automatically buy, but no, like you need to be giving and giving value before somebody has enough trust to purchase from you. The third was social proof, right? Like what is proof that your product or your message actually works? You need to back that up. The fourth principle is authority, like having a credibility to your product or your message that gives like, there's like a hierarchy of order of why somebody should take action. The other principle is liking, right? People you like, you tend to trust more than others. So if like people don't like you, they're probably not gonna buy from you. And the last one was scarcity, right? Like if there is a limited number of something, then people tend to want that more. If people can get it anytime they want, whenever they want, then it's really not going to influence somebody to make a decision. But if you say, I only got 5 spots available or 10 spots available, and it's a real scarcity, it's not some like false scarcity, then people tend to take more action, or they tend to want it more. They'll say yes more than others. So if you're in the business of influence, definitely check out this deep work done by Robert Cialdini, The Psychology of Persuasion. It's a book called Influence. Okay, this last book is one of my favorite books. And not only does it apply to marketing, it's just like a principle of life. And that principle is, it's the law of 80-20, right? It's Pareto's principle. Now this book is a book called 80-20 Sales and Marketing, and it was written by Perry Marshall. And this is one of the first books I read 10 years ago, and it's like it made a lasting impact on me. It really breaks down, it's the law of 80-20, right? 20% of your efforts will bring in 80% of the results. So what does that mean from a marketing perspective? 20% of your campaigns will bring in 80% of your leads and sales. Or 20% of your ads will bring in 80% of the leads and sales. And that's true if you open up your campaign planner, whether it's a Facebook ad or YouTube ad, you'll see the law of 80-20. Like if you test 10 ads, 2 of them are going to work really well and bring in 80% of the results. And guess what? It's the same thing for clients, especially depending on your business model, but 20% of your clients will bring in 80% of your revenue. What if you could focus only on those 20%? But also in your business, if you don't have an option where people can buy more from you, you never get to reap the rewards of that 80% increase, right? So having different options and values that your clients can purchase from you from is important as well. So it's the law of 80-20. And again, it works whether it's marketing or sales. And if you read it, like he even breaks it down. Like what's nice is he breaks it down into like Google ads and is really specific to Google ads. And related to that is YouTube ads. So it's like a life principle that applies to life in general. It applies to sales, it applies to marketing, and especially when it comes to building out your campaigns. So highly recommend you read 80-20 Sales and Marketing by Perry Marshall. Again, so that's 5 books that have helped me improve my marketing skills that I recommend to a lot of people who are get started in marketing. But I'm curious, I may have missed some of those books. So drop a comment below. I'm curious, what books am I missing? What books should be on this list that aren't? So if you want to check out 7 more books that helped me build a $1 million video ad agency, check out this next video and I dive into that.